Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Walker Corporate Law, a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. Visit them at walkercorporatelaw.com. And by Mandrill, the best way to send transactional email from the people who make MailChimp. Sign up today at mandrill.com. And by AWS Activate. It's easy to start and scale your business with Amazon Web Services. Check out free resources like one-on-one office hours with AWS Solutions Architects and much more. Learn more and sign up at aws.amazon.com/activate.
Today on This Week in Startups, a founder who called in to This Week in Startups almost 4 years ago to ask what he should do with his career and his life. And 4 years later, he's raised over $40 million for his high-growth startup. I kid you not. We're going to go full circle on This Week in Startups. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
All right, everybody, this is a very special This Week in Startups for me. 4 years ago, and the program's only 5 years old, but 4 years ago, I had a gentleman on the program who was looking to figure out, hey, what am I going to do with my life? What should I do? And, that's a typical question we get on the Ask Jason segment that we do on This Week in Startups. And I think I gave him some good advice. He seems to think I gave him some good advice. Anyway, he went on to found or co-found DigitalOcean, which has raised over $40 million, including from Andreessen Horowitz. And, of course, he went on to TechStars in between then. So it's quite a success story, DigitalOcean, which you can go check out at DigitalOcean.com. And welcome back to the program, Mitch Wainer.
Thanks for having me.
This is incredible to be here 4 years later or so. You were on the program back in 2011.
Right, November 2011.
And how old were you then, and what were you doing with your life?
I was 26 at the time, and I was working for an advertising firm, and I was working remotely in Manhattan by myself in my apartment.
Wow. What were you doing for this advertising firm?
I was consulting Fortune 100 companies on, SEO tactics, digital marketing strategies, branding, positioning.
Like grinded out stuff. Getting paid what, $50 an hour, $100 an hour?
Well, I had a full-time salary.
So you're getting paid 50, 75 grand or something? What were you getting paid?
I think it was around 90 or 100, to be
90 or
honest.
100 grand. So you were like a high-paid SEO consultant,
That's right.
marketing guy.
Yeah.
But you had a question for me back then. Do you remember the moment you were on and what pushed you to call into the program?
Well, I felt like I was a little lost, and I was at a point in my career where I was ready to make a transition. And I knew I had so much talent, because I told you I was a front-end developer.
Right.
I was a proficient designer, graphic illustrator. I knew how to advertise a business online.
Right.
Build a website myself, So I had all these tools, and I felt like they weren't really being utilized. And I knew I had the potential to go out and start something of my own,
right,
or team up with a group of guys or gals and build something.
And so you were a fan of the show back then, I guess. You had watched a couple of episodes or found out about it on Twitter or something?
Yeah, I watched a dozen episodes or so, and just been following you. I think I cold emailed you one time to redesign your blog.
Yeah, you offered to design the blog.
Right, to do it for free. And
you were a straight up hustler.
I was a hustler, right.
Trying to get something at 26. You're trying to get something going. You know you got the talent,
right? And
you called into the program. And I get this a lot. People watch the program, and we're going to play the clip in a second. I don't want to have too much of a build up here, but people watch the program, and you were mentioning how you were a remote worker. Like, you could be sitting out there in the world watching all these people create great companies and think to yourself, I could do that. And this, when you called me, was your moment when you thought, I could do it. I could start a high-growth company. That's correct?
Yes. I mean, I didn't think anywhere near where we are today. I mean, It was, we've been on this tremendous growth curve, and we went supernova. So
all right. No, wait, don't give it up. Yeah, let's go. Let's just switch to the clip here. We're going to watch.
So my question is, I'm not really too sure. Should I focus on growing this agency where it's just the two of us? Should I focus on a startup and try to get VC capital.
Do you own this agency business? Or you're partners with the person?
I don't own it, and I'm not partners. I survived the recession. It was 30 employees at one point, got cut down to 2.
Wow.
So,
all right.
I've
got an answer for this.
This is okay. So here's the situation. Are you learning right now? Are you learning a lot?
No, I mean, I'm pretty much learning on my own. And,
okay. So this makes it really easy. If you're at a job and you don't have equity in it and you stop learning, it's a pretty good indication that you're done. Because you're not gaining equity in something, you're not learning, and you're a young guy. You need to be in a job where you're constantly learning and challenged. That's the number one thing, because the number one investment you can make is in yourself. And if you're not learning and you're not growing and you're not challenged, then a year or 2 of your life goes by. It would be like, a great basketball player playing with a bunch of dopes at the YMCA instead of playing in the NBA. Better to be the worst, bench warmer on the Knicks than to be the number 1 guy at the rec center, right? You need to be in a game where you're getting your ass kicked a little bit and you have to fight and you have to get better. This is what you need to do. You need to go find a startup that's in the early stages that you can believe in and you like the guys or gals who are running.
Right.
So I would go look for a TechStars or a Y Combinator or Launchpad or any of these fine incubator systems and get yourself and start going to those events and align yourself and get on Hacker News and say, hey, I'm a co-founder, I'm looking for co-founders. Find something interesting where you have and your marketing brain can help and align yourself with them and get in early and get yourself 5 points in a company or 3 points in a company. Like the early employees, that's possible. If it's just the first, 3 months of a company. I mean, maybe if you get in there after a year, it's only 1 point. But 1 point's a lot more than 0 points, and you're going to learn more. Any thoughts? Oh, wow. So this is an incredible moment because you were considering all these options, and the show may have pushed you a little bit to maybe make the jump quicker?
Yeah, without a doubt. It definitely pushed me to make the jump quicker. I jumped on Craigslist. I remember the weekend I just started jumping on Craigslist and looking for positions, and just so happens that's where I found this opportunity. And
you found the opportunity on Craigslist? Well,
originally I found the job offer or position for marketing director at this managed hosting company called ServerStack, and that's where I met the co-founding team and I came on board as a marketing director, and then we started working on this side project called DigitalOcean.
So you all left that company and started your own?
Well, we were maintaining it, building it, and then we entered TechStars together.
Got it.
And then went through the TechStars Boulder program.
And how was that? So you basically
amazing.
Found out about TechSars, or they must have known about TechStars already. But
well, so it's
ironic that first thing out of my mouth was I said TechStars.
Yeah. So not only I went on Craigslist, but I actually applied to TechStars as a Hackstar.
Right.
And I got into the Boulder program as a Hackstar.
Explain what a Hackstar is.
So a Hackstar is a developer or a designer who doesn't have a company or a startup that they're building, but wants to enter the TechStars program, and they apply as an individual instead of a startup.
Got it. And so you went there as a gunslinger, or were thinking about going there as a gunslinger. You found this incredible team. So what is, for people who don't know, what is DigitalOcean, and what was the original idea that got you accepted to TechStars?
So DigitalOcean is a simple cloud hosting provider built for developers. So we're an infrastructure as a service provider that is focused on making the lives of developers simpler and easier. And that's been our mission and our focus. And
why is this needed in the world? Amazon Web Services has existed for now whatever number of years. So why did you need to come in and do this? Do you think
it was an underserved market? So you take a look at Amazon, you take a look at Rackspace. They've built these complex feature sets and these complex systems and their complex control panels and complicated pricing and with all the different tiers. And their offering didn't really cater to individuals. It catered to large-scale businesses. So there was this whole underserved market of individuals.
So those services are pitched at like a sysadmin, like a system administrator, somebody who just manages servers for a living. And therefore, if I'm reading you correct or understanding you correctly,
Right.
it's just overly complex.
It's overly complex. Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to be a sysadmin, a DevOps, director.
But if you're just a developer who is writing code and you want to put a server up because you have a client,
you want to get an app online in a short time frame. So something else that's great about DigitalOcean is our provisioning time. So you can provision an instance in less than a minute.
Right.
So you can deploy your cloud server online in 55 seconds.
Right. So you basically say, I want to have a server up, boom, and you just give it to people.
Exactly.
And how fast did this grow? Because you have over 100,000 developers or clients.
Yeah, we're approaching 200,000, if not more.
And what does that mean? I mean, if you have that many, are you adding like 100 a day, 1,000 a day?
1,000 a day.
1,000 new signups a day, individuals. Yeah. Does that mean 1,000 servers a day, or is everybody's got a little piece of a server?
No, it's multiple. Well, it's they all have a piece of the dedicated machine. So I think we're going through a rack every other day at this point. Right. I think that's how fast our infrastructure is scaling. So a rack of servers has about 30, 40 servers, and that costs $250,000.
So every other day, you got to back up $250,000 and in chips.
Exactly.
And buy 40 servers. But the servers now are getting more and more efficient, right? These are all like what they call blade servers or something.
Right.
Many servers in one rack. It used to be you put a dozen servers in a rack. Now you put in...
Yeah, we put in, 30 servers, and then, the amount of we have a terabyte worth of storage and, 96 gigs of memory. And so they're becoming more dense. And that's allowing for us to, have more customers on each.
What about the energy? Machine. Because that seems to be, I was just talking to our folks over at Inside, and we have a nice co-location facility and 250 servers. We did it all ourselves back in the Mahalo days 6 years ago when you probably were best off doing it yourself. It seems like the biggest expense we have is when we want to put in power. What's the situation with power today and servers? Because the servers cost nothing, right? They're $1,000 now or something, $2,000 for a server.
Yeah, I think they're more. I think they're like $1,500 to $2,000, and the power. Actually, I don't think the power really costs that much for us because we're co-locating. So I think I think that cost gets eaten up a lot by the colo.
Right. But it's not. You hear about Google and Facebook having to build these data centers. And it always seems like they have to go somewhere near cheap power, like they have to be near a waterfall or a nuclear reactor or somewhere where it's cold because of the heat. I mean, are we really damaging the environment with all these, huge server farms? And there's sort of a movement now to like make them cheaper and more efficient. I'm sure
the colos are, and these companies are looking to become greener.
Yeah.
And they understand that. This infrastructure, this massive amount of infrastructure is sucking so much energy,
right?
And it's unhealthy. So I think they're already making advancements, and a lot of these companies are publicly traded. Like if you look at Equinix,
right.
They have to answer to shareholders and have to show like this is how we're evolving to help, to help the earth and become greener.
Yeah. So you guys just closed a huge. I think $35 million round or something.
37.2.
37. Who's counting? But yes.
Yeah, right.
Entrepreneur, you always remember. So you had raised only $3 million before that.
Right. 3.2.
3.2 million.
Right.
When we get back from commercial break, I want to talk about going from raising $3 million for a promising little startup to raising $37 million when we get back from this very important message. Yes. Walker Corporate Law. You've heard me read this promotion before, and it's really easy for me to do because I know Scott Ed Walker, and he is a great attorney who has worked with many of the startups that I've either angel invested in or had at the launch festival. Scott Walker is a mensch who works tirelessly to support entrepreneurs. And you know what? He launched the Walker Corporate Law Group to do just that. He is a man with a mission to help and support entrepreneurs, just like myself. And it's really true. He hangs out like a regular guy at the events, talks to entrepreneurs. And I had an entrepreneur who was in a sticky situation. One of the stickiest ones you could be in, which is IP, intellectual property. And I said to these entrepreneurs, did you solve your intellectual property issue? Where are you at with that? And they said, Jason, interestingly, we called Scott Walker. And we called him because you have Scott Walker on the program. We called him at 415-979-9998, 415-979-9998, 415-979-9998. They called Scott Walker. He picked up the phone. He took a meeting. He gave them great advice. They were able to move on through the issue. They do mergers, acquisitions, licensing agreements. They set up your company. They'll do whatever you need to do, terms of service, privacy policy, all that great stuff. And they do fixed fees, which is what I love the best. Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of attorneys who really get upset at me because I'm like, if we do this, you have to do a fixed fee. I don't want any surprises. I want the startup to know what they're going to pay. A lot of those firms won't do it, but Scott Walker does it because he cares. So fixed fees that don't encourage inefficiency, 10 to 20 years of experience for each of the people at his firm. No junior associates getting on-the-job training. Give him a call, 415-979-9998. WalkerCorporateLaw.com. Scott at WalkerCorporateLaw.com, and follow him at Scott Ed Walker on Twitter. Thanks so much, Scott. We appreciate the support here. Let's get back to this amazing program. All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. My guest is Mitch Wainer. Mitch is the co-founder of DigitalOcean.com. You can go check out DigitalOcean at DigitalOcean.com or on Twitter at DigitalOcean. Mitch's Twitter handle is Mitch Wainer, Wainer. He, of course, called into This Week in Startups on an Ask Jason segment back in November of 2011, and his life basically went perfectly since then. So if you want to correlate it, I'm going to give myself a huge amount of credit for Mitch's career. But basically, call into the show and you raise $37 million. That's basically the order in which things happen. No, you guys have busted your ass for years now building DigitalOcean, and you recently got, after having raised just a small amount of money, $3 million, small amount of money in our industry, get you started kind of money.
Right.
You just closed a huge power round with what most people would consider one of the top 10 venture capital firms, Andreessen Horowitz. Tell me how that went down.
So we were looking to raise the Series A, and we knew that we needed the capital to expand and keep up with demand. We're a capex intensive business, so we need money in our bank account to leverage the these massive credit lines that we're trying to capture. So we did the whole Menlo Park Sand Hill Road tour.
How many people did you visit?
Probably a dozen, I would say. A dozen or more.
So the top 12, basically.
The top 12, right.
Some of them have conflicts. Some of them have invested in rack space or other services.
Conflicts, or they really just focus on enterprise, and they didn't really get the vision or the story.
So they'll discount you guys like, oh, it's just a hardware server play. We don't want to be in that.
Exactly. Or you're not going to have a sales team, or you're not going to be, direct selling and focusing on, enterprise.
Huh. And they just dismiss it like that? Do they dismiss it and then not take the meeting, or what?
Oh no, they take the meeting.
They take the meeting.
No, we went on meetings. I mean, they were over a dozen meetings that we went on. And then the last meeting, it was right before the Christmas break, the holiday break, and we went to Andreessen Horowitz to their office, and it was an all partners meeting. So we were sitting across the table from Ben Horowitz and Peter Levine.
And this was on a Monday morning kind of thing?
It was on a Thursday.
Oh.
It was a Thursday, yeah. And
Mark Andreessen there or not?
No, he wasn't
No Mark
there.
Andreessen?
No,
That's probably at the eBay meeting. Probably at a board meeting for Facebook or eBay or HP. I think he's on all those boards.
Yeah, he's been favoring and retweeting all our tweets lately. So
I think he seems pretty loyal to his investments.
Yeah, he seems like a
may have thrown a couple of other people's investments under the bus recently. He just totally decimated Whisper and Secret on his Twitter handle. I mean, he's tweeting like crazy.
Yeah, he's tweeting like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last meeting, you go in, you pitch them, and what happens?
So
what happens in that meeing? Explain that to people who've never been in that meeting.
So it's just you and your co-founder. So I was sitting next to Ben Uretsky, who's our CEO. And everyone's listening in. You have your PowerPoint presentation up on the monitor, on the projector. And you
walk people through the deck.
You're walking through, through the deck. You're walking them through the deck, and
like 30 slides, 100 slides.
Oh, it's under 20. It was like 15. It was short, but you show the growth slide, you show the hockey stick.
Yep.
Get them excited.
And that's it.
And pitch the story.
Do they interrupt you while you go through these 20, 30 slides?
Yeah, there's questions.
Or they
without
wait
a
till
doubt.
you finish?
No, they ask questions. They interrupt and they ask questions. But that's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
That's a great sign. That's when you know they're engaged with you.
When you're in that room, when you were on Sand Hill Road, you went to a dozen of these. Did you ever go to a meeting and see a VC like look down at their phone or open their laptop or check their email?
You know what? Luckily, we haven't. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't seen. Everyone's been pretty engaged.
That to me is always like a really bad sign for a VC firm when like somebody in the meeting is looking at their phone or they open their laptop and they're like, "I'm taking notes." I'm like, I don't think you're taking notes. Like, they seem to be like the new best behavior is no devices, only pen and paper. So you look like you're really present.
So there's a great strategy to combat that.
Yeah,
You ask, like, you just throw out a question, or you say, listen, I know this sounds like a stupid idea to you guys, but let me explain why it's an amazing idea. You kind of re-engage them.
Right. Got it. Oh, a little like...
Yeah, so you could like make fun of yourself and say, listen, I know this probably sounds like a crap idea.
Right.
And you're not interested,
Right.
and just sort of get the conversation going and re-engage
be a little
them.
self-deprecating or whatever. Yeah. So did you get the sense in that Andreessen Horowitz meeting, because they're asking so many questions, that they were going to put a term sheet out?
Oh, we knew they were interested. Yeah. I think.
At what point do you know like they're going to put an offer in?
I think it's after the meeting when you're talking with everybody, and you just feel the energy level up, and you're shaking their hands before they go, and they're telling you, hey, we're going to put you in touch with our due diligence team, and we're going to continue the conversation, and it's leading in the right direction.
Cool.
Yeah.
What were the kind of questions you got when you went to Santoro? What are the common questions they ask? Not just Andreessen Horowitz, but across all of them. So you can sort of blend the what were the most common questions?
How are you going to compete with Amazon, right? How are you? So actually, some investors are actually afraid to invest in any company that competes with Amazon at this point.
Really?
They came out and said that.
We're just
afraid to compete with Amazon
because
they're dominating the market, e-commerce market.
Why are they right or wrong in your opinion? So what's right about their position, and what leads them to that position? And because obviously these are smart folks.
Yeah.
And then why do you think ultimately they'll be wrong in your case?
Well, I think they've actually probably went through an experience investing in an e-commerce business and it being overtaken by Amazon, and that has left a bad taste in their mouth.
From the Amazon commerce side of the business,
exactly.
Not the computing side.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So they did whatever. Some greengrocer or some buy.com or whatever.
Exactly.
They saw eToys get its ass kicked, so they just know that Bezos is an animal of a competitor.
Exactly. He knows he's an animal of a competitor. Exactly.
And then he's not going to accept losing, and he's going to undercut everybody and lose money on every transaction, whatever it takes to kill his competitor.
Right. And the reason why we feel confident that we're going to win is because we're coming from the bottom up, and they don't see us. So, we started at the initial layer of hobbyists and early adopters, and we're moving our way up to startups and small businesses, and then mid-size, and then eventually large scale. So then now we're starting to build out all these features to cater to the more advanced developer that is now working at a startup that's scaling, or a tech company that's scaling.
Got it. And so walk the audience through how the process of term sheets come in. How many do you get in approximately? And then you sit there with your two co-founders and have to make a decision. Did you just know, like, hey, listen, Andreessen Horowitz is the best, or that was the only term sheet you had? Walk us through that moment with your partners. So
first of all, if you're in your seed round, if you get one term sheet, you're lucky.
In a seed round.
Right.
Yeah.
Series A, you prove your growth, and you prove the story, you prove the vision.
You got a product in mind.
You got a product, right? And you're looking to raise the next round. You're going to have more options on the table. It's going to happen.
Right.
So we had.
Why?
Just because that it's a safer investment for investors, plain and simple. There's less risk involved. They know it's growing. There's, minimal risk involved.
And also they're getting a sweet deal. They give you $3 million for 30%.
Right.
So gosh, that's a sweet, sweet deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sweet deal for the seed investors, right?
Right.
So, and so then the Series A, you get 4 or 5. We got 4 or 5, and then you just, based upon valuation, based upon the terms, based upon the partner, you evaluate all the different pros and cons. Is this?
Don't they all come in a similar range, like within 10% of each other in terms of?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was the range? Without giving me the exact number, what was the range percentage-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I can even. Yeah, I mean, it went from there was like 100% difference.
Really? So somebody might offer $50 million,
like
another might offer $100 million.
Right.
Or $150 million or $75 million.
And like even on valuation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So somebody offers a $75 million valuation, another person might offer $150.
Yeah.
But they all want to get 30%, right? It's pretty much every round they want to get 20, 30%.
20% at least.
And they don't want to participate unless they can get that amount.
Right. Exactly.
Now, why is that, do you think? I mean, I know the answer, but I'm just asking on the behalf of the audience. Why do they want to get that amount?
Well, I mean, they have to. So they have targets and goals for their fund that they need to, hit.
Right.
So they have to generate, X amount of dollars based upon their, investment.
Right.
The amount that they're investing. And I think Andreessen Horowitz just raised a new round.
A new fund?
A new fund,
yeah.
right.
God, they never stop.
They never stop,
They're
right.
huge.
So
well, we hear a lot about Andreessen having a lot of firepower in terms of servicing and supporting their founders. So when we get back from this commercial break, I want you to talk about why you specifically picked Andreessen Horowitz over what surely were some other really solid firms when we get back after these messages. Yes, Mandrill. Mandrill is the best transactional email service from the fine folks at MailChimp. They have servers all over the world, and they do real-time analytics and make sure that your campaign is getting through. They monitor the performance and make improvements easily. Mobile apps for iOS, Android, so you can monitor the stuff when you're not at your desk. And the pricing is, of course, incredible. 12,000 emails a month are always free, and after that you pay on a usage basis. There's no feature gating, so everybody gets all the great features. You can sign up at mandrill.com, or you can follow Mandrill app on Twitter. And we use it here at Inside and Launch because we need to get transactional emails like the launch ticker or the launch hackathon, validate your account, or there's an update or somebody joined your team. We need that stuff to work. We can't have our transactional emails, resetting your password, signing up, all that kind of stuff. You get a friend request. We can't lose that because that's the lifeblood of our service. We need a high quality partner, and Mandrill is that partner that we selected, and that's why they're a partner of this program as well. They do a great job, and the products. If you wanted to build this yourself, you'd literally have to spend 1,000x, literally 1,000x, to build something that was 10% as good as what exists for 0.1% of what you would build yourself. So don't be crazy. Don't try to do this yourself. Let the pros take your transactional email and get them into your customer's email box and move on with features and listen to your customers about the other things that you're doing that you're an expert on with your product. Like, hey, for my case, like getting the news to people. All right, thanks a lot, Mandrill app. And everybody go thank at Mandrill app on their Twitter handle. And remember, if you need to do transactional email, you need to go to mandrill.com. Let's get back to this amazing program. All right, everybody, Mitch Wainer is on the program. He is one of the co-founders of DigitalOcean. Go check out DigitalOcean.com. I'm assuming jobs.digitalocean.com goes somewhere.
Jobs@digitalocean.com.
Jobs@digitalocean.com.
Yep.
Or Mitch@digitalocean.com might go somewhere as well. Typically, first
We're looking for
name
software engineers.
Yeah, if you want to like get in on the ground floor and get some really good options, and you're into DevOps and stuff like that, this is a good place to go. And you're based in New York.
Based in New York, but we're willing to hire remote.
Yeah, take me through that. Why remote?
Well, so if you take a look at
some people feel very strongly not.
Right. I mean, if you take a look at the top engineering companies out there, like Stripe and GitHub, for example, the large majority of their engineering team is remote, and they've made it work. And
how does one make it work?
Well, there's several ways to manage, remote employees, and that you do stand-ups, you do scrum meetings in the morning. If you haven't delivered on what you said you were going to do yesterday, the next day, obviously something's wrong. So that's how you sort of
So there's a trust but verified kind of
yeah.
Device, which is this scrum meeting where you have to say, this is what I'm going to get done in the next 24 hours, and you answer for it the very next day. So you might be off for, that scrum meeting might only be 20 minutes, but the next 10 hours that you work, you have to deliver because you're going to be talked to in that next 20-minute one, and you have to deliver.
Exactly.
So for people who deliver, this works really well. What about people who need to be managed?
Well, I mean, at that point, then you make a decision. Are they the right person for the company?
You need to be more mature to be able to be this remote worker. Not just age-wise, but just maturity-wise.
You need some responsibility. Some level of responsibility to manage and to manage your time and be efficient. So
time management.
Yeah,
is key. What do you guys use? HipChat? Or use what's that?
We use Slack.
Slack. I was about to say
Slack.
Everybody's talking about
amazing.
Slack. Explain to people what Slack is.
Slack's an amazing communication tool for companies. And
Stuart Butterfield.
Yeah, I think he was the co-founder of Flickr.
Flickr, yeah. Hey, Gina, why is he not on the program? We had Slack like 20 times. Come on, Gina, get with it. Let's go.
You got to bring him on.
Slack. Get Stuart on. There you go, Slack. So why do you love Slack?
We wanted to just decide on one communication tool for the business to use, and we looked at HipChat, we looked at IRC even. Slack's great because you can upload files, videos, pictures. You could search conversations, so you can go back historically and see.
Nice. Search is a great feature.
Yeah,
that was the feature he told me that HipChat didn't have that they had that made everybody crazy.
And then best of all is the mobile app. So,
Oh, really?
The iPhone app is phenomenal.
I got to take a look at this because I use HipChat and I have the mobile and I'm living on it. And I think it's like $5 a month, these like sort of productivity tools. But if you have a mobile workforce, you have to have Yammer, Slack, or HipChat. One of these things.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
so
did IRC, then HipChat. But our guys are testing Slack right now.
It also integrates with a bunch of third-party applications like Google Apps and also GitHub for us, which is great. So that's another
we have
benefit.
GitHub attached to HipChat as well. All right, so when we left our hero, that's you, before the commercial break, we were talking about
Andreessen, why we selected
and
him.
why you picked Andreessen. Yeah. So you had multiple term sheets.
Multiple term sheets.
5, 3? Take us through.
I think we had 4 or 5. I think we had 5.
So they ranged at one at one end of the valuation is double the one at the bottom. Andreessen Horowitz falls where? Were they paid the best price or up in the second best price or?
Yeah, they were up there. They paid one of the best prices, and we had firms that threw their hat in the ring that just wanted to invest money. They weren't necessarily going to be the best partner for us, and we knew that. We knew that they were just going to be capital, and that's why we turned them down. So Andreessen Horowitz has a huge team. They have a built-out marketing department, built-out corp dev department. So they have these teams that help you, that will make intros. So another thing is Andreessen's invested in GitHub. Also Twitter. So they have, a huge network already built out of, talented engineers.
Yeah.
They could put us in touch with like the VP of engineering at Twitter and like have a conversation with him or her and talk about, infrastructure.
So they're massive value adding. I mean,
yes.
A lot of people on Silicon Valley talk about this now because when Andreessen Horowitz started, they really didn't have many firms with more than one partner in recruiting, one partner in BD, and they would do like, a little bit of help. But really, Andreessen Horowitz is hiring tons, and they have like 10 people in their marketing department. In fact, their marketing department is like just too big. I
think they have 80 employees in total.
The marketing department, it makes me crazy because anytime I try to get, honestly, like,
really?
It's the worst to deal with because, I mean, they're nice people, but it's just really challenging when you have that many marketing people that if you want to have Ben Horowitz or Mark Andreessen speak at your conference or this, like, everybody has to get super involved. It's like booking, like...
A lot of layers.
Oh, God. I mean, like, I can email Chris Sacca. I can email Roloff from Sequoia. I can email these, this is shop talk, but I can email those folks, and they're just like, sure, I'd love to speak at your conference. You email Andreessen Horowitz, and it's like... You have to negotiate, like, I have to go to lunch with the marketing partner. Yeah. Or it's just like layers and layers.
I'll put in the good word for you.
Oh, God. I don't, I've given up. Message to Mark Andreessen and Andreessen Horowitz, Ben Horowitz. I've given up. I mean, if you're going to make it so difficult for me to get you on the program or speak at the event, I concede you guys are so important that we're going to just stop bugging you with our requests.
I'm sure they'll see this video too.
Whatever. I know Mark Andreessen for so long. I mean, I think he's great. He almost invested in Weblogs Inc. right before we sold it, and he's an LP in my little fund. But I think they're great over there. But my God, they have so many resources now.
A lot of resources.
But that's why you pick them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They have the research team. They have the marketing.
What does the research team do?
They could curate a list for you of like the top and like a huge database of engineers.
Oh, really?
In the U.S., right? So I think they went public. I think they like stated that in an article where they have this enormous database of engineers. So you can like tap into that network.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And then it's like, oh, hey, Andreessen Horowitz is calling. It's not like some. If you had like a headhunter calling, like some recruiter, it's like, ugh.
Well, we do have a director of recruiting in-house now. We had to hire one.
Right, but I'm saying if you hired one of those outside recruiting firms.
Oh, no, yeah.
They're just like developers feel annoyed by them.
Yeah,
They would not feel annoyed by Andreessen Horowitz calling.
Yeah, I think we're avoiding the outsourced recruiting firm.
So what do you do? How do you recruit? Now you got all this money. Mm-hmm. Developers today, they're not motivated by money, are they?
No, they're motivated by the vision and the story and what you're trying to accomplish. So if we say to developers, we're building infrastructure for the world, and we want to make every developer's lives easier.
Yeah.
And your code is going to touch millions of developers around the world. That's something that they get excited about and they feel. And then, of course, options help, right? They want to own a piece of whatever they're building.
So that's they want to be fairly compensated, have something that could grow into a major company like Rackspace or
Exactly.
whatever, Amazon. But they also love the sense of purpose and that kind of stuff. So what about China? Like you said Singapore. Obviously, you guys
we just got invited.
Brazil.
Yeah, we just got invited to the China Cloud Computing Conference. They invited us to attend to give a speech. So
the Cloud Computing in China conference.
Right.
Right.
So
So it's basically you go and there's a cable, and then it's like just somebody with a hatchet comes out and chops the cable in half, and that's the cloud computing in China. I mean, you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed, right? I know.
It's crazy. Dick Costello's there right now trying to like get them like to talk about Twitter, and they're like, you're not allowed to use Twitter in China.
I know. It's
frustrating.
It is incredibly frustrating. You have to work your ins to get into China. I mean, it's incredible. They have it,
on lockdown.
On lockdown, right?
Well, what about Hong Kong? Can you be in Hong Kong? I think you can be in Hong Kong or whatever. But people can also...
The conference might be in Hong Kong, actually.
That's probably where it is.
Yeah.
They sort of have this like buffer, like Shenzhen and Hong Kong, kind of the buffers to, So now that you have all this... See, let's go back to making the decision for Andreessen Horowitz. They paid a good price. They had all the extra services. Was it even close? Was there even another VC firm who was... you considered, and did all three of you have two co-founders, I think, right? Three of you?
So there's two other active co-founders.
Okay, so the three of you just sit there and like write down your preference on a piece of paper and flip it over at the same time? How did you get clarity between the three of you?
You all sit in a room.
This is where we want to go.
So we all sat in a room with our chief operating officer, and we sifted through the term sheets, and we just picked the one that felt good based upon gut. And I think that's sort of like going back to the beginning when I made that transition in my career. I did it off gut too. So you really need to listen to your gut, and knowing that Andreessen Horowitz was going to bring a ton of value to the business made the decision.
So 3 out of 3 had them as number one right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, so there was another one on the table that was just simply capital, and they would have carried us. We would have never had capital concerns ever again. Basically, they would have scaled us out.
Oh, really? So what did they do? They offered you like a second tranche or something?
Yeah, I mean,
if you hit a certain number.
I think even better, they were gonna invest, and then they gave us sort of like this unlimited line of credit to leverage against.
Got it.
And they were gonna include that in the addendum in the term sheet.
Wow.
So that would have been huge.
Right.
So that was something worth considering, because then we're like, oh, well, we'll never have to worry about capital again.
Wow. And you have a capital
And we're profitable right now.
Right. But you have a capital-intensive business.
Capital-intensive business,
and there could
right.
be competitors coming. Like, I mean, at some point, Amazon Rackspace is going to wake up and be like, Mark Andreessen, Peter Levin, like, invested in this.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty good.
Right.
Like, they're going to be like, that's pretty, maybe we should dip down to that level.
Well, we took a position that's untouchable, so it's going to be really tough for them.
How do you pick an untouchable position? Free? What's the untouchable position?
The untouchable position is simplicity. Like I said, they built such a complex product. They can't backtrack.
Right, they'd have to launch a whole new infrastructure and product line.
Exactly.
It's one of the great things about innovation and why startups can do so well is because
you're starting from scratch.
You're starting from scratch. You guys did all SSD drives. And
all SSD
you got
cloud.
A ton of press. I was impressed that you were able to, and you're the marketing guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So this had to be your baby. Like, do you really deserve all that much press for being all SSD drives? Because I'm like, it was a really good, I was, as a marketer, I was like really interested that like TechCrunch and everybody, Mashable, everybody's like 100% SSD server farm launches, You got a ton of press for that. Did you deserve it? How did you get all that press?
Well, we hired a PR firm, which certainly helped. They're based in New York, and we have a great team over there. So, it was reaching.
Who's that? Brooke Hammerling?
It's 5WPR.
Okay, there you go. We can give them a plug. 5WPR.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
they did a good job.
They did a great job, and so they just worked the relationships. They had you want a PR firm that has those established relationships.
It was a good package, like SSDs, like this new technology.
It's 4 or 10 times faster than traditional servers. So I mean, if you look at a SATA drive compared to SSD, I mean, if you just look at the tweets on Twitter, people are constantly tweeting at us, my website's loading 4 times faster or 10 times faster. Yeah.
But what's the cost difference of an SSD and a SATA drive? I mean, it's $99 versus $499?
Yeah, it's double. It's
or triple.
Yeah, double or triple, right? Yeah. Especially if you go with the enterprise grade.
Well, yeah, but you get half the amount of space too. So it's like double the price, but for half the amount of space.
Right.
So it's really like 4 or 5x.
Right.
those solid-state drives are not cheap.
No, they're
Do they
expensive.
fail? Because they were kind of like problematic early on, and people didn't want to use them in servers.
Well, that's why, again, like
Originally, right? Wasn't that the big like?
You don't want to get
concern?
the consumer grade SSDs they fail more often. And
Got it.
That's why I said before, enterprise grade is like they're stress test against performance benchmarks. Then they're insured to last.
Got it. So how do you being the marketing person, you look at this, how do you grow the company? I mean, it's been on such a tear, but is the tear because you're doing some extraordinary covert secret Facebook, Twitter ads, Reddit ads or something? Or is it just that, hey, it's free to sign up and it's so easy that you just get a large funnel going?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of my secret sauce behind the marketing scene. So I like to call it a marketing engine that I've created, and it starts with content. So right now we have over 600 tutorials on how to set up different frameworks on different distributions. So if you go to DigitalOcean, how to configure your server.
Or knowledge, you
go to the community, click on community, and then you'll see all the tutorials. It's really an incredible knowledge base that we've built out.
Now these tutorials on how to use your server farm or how to use
any generic VPS. So you create all this content that draws in traffic to your website, right? High quality traffic.
How to install Linux, Apache,
exactly.
Stack on Ubuntu.
Who's going to be reading this content?
How to grant permissions in MySQL. Yeah, I think we're going to know who's going to do this.
Exactly.
And these things must be SEO to all hell.
Exactly. You got the H1 tags in there. You got the meta tags.
And you were previously an SEO consultant.
You got it.
So now we're starting to understand. And if I say how to install Linux on Ubuntu, I'm doing a Google search here. I bet you're number one. No, not quite. You got a little more work to do. You're like number 5.
But
anyway, it could be. Yeah. You're on the first page.
First page.
That matters.
Hey, it's not bad. You
not bad
at all. Install Rails. We're on the first page as well.
How to install Rails? You're on the first page. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you build up all this
content.
Content is king, right?
Yeah.
So you hear that all the time.
Right.
That drives in the high quality traffic to your website. You then retarget them throughout the web using retargeting.
What does that mean? Explain that to somebody who doesn't understand.
So retargeting is when you hit a website. Let's say you're shopping for a shoe on Zappos, right?
Right.
And then you go back, and so you click on the shoe, and then you go to Facebook, and then you go to a different website, and then all of a sudden you see an ad on the right side with the same shoe you were looking at.
Yeah, you're like
whoa. How the hell did they do this? Right.
It's like, oh, wait a second, they're following me around.
They're following me around the web.
DigitalOcean is
they're stalking me
to install Ruby when I'm on YouTube.
Right. So what happens is when you hit a website, you get a cookie placed on your machine, and then that cookie is then leveraged by Google, or whatever network that's retargeting you, and they're now displaying ads based upon the data that they collected from the web page you visited on their website, and they're displaying that specific ad or whatever. So Google has their own retargeting network. Facebook has a retargeting network as well through AdRoll, and so you build out this all these different retargeting channels, and additionally you look to retarget them through email as well. Like you want to collect their email addresses as well, and now bring them back through email. So this is how like the marketing engine starts. You have driving high quality content. You bring them back to the website. Eventually, you convert them into a customer, and then the last piece is building out a referral program.
Got it.
So you want them to now refer their friends.
Got it.
And then
so now that you've bought a server, using one for free for some time, I say, hey, tweet this, and we'll give you an extra month for free.
Exactly.
Like Dropbox.
Well, it's $10 per referral that hits $10 in billings. That's how it works.
So if somebody bills $10, you get $10.
Exactly.
So it's great.
It's great, yeah. And then so this, you create this whole cycle, and then it just keeps snowballing.
Got it. So, but you have to do a marketing spend every month, because that one piece in there, once you get them through SEO to your site, when you want to retarget them, now you got to pay 50 cents a click or $1 a click or something.
The CPA is fantastic. The CPA is really low on retargeting, so it's
cost per
acquisition.
So actually getting them is pretty low, because it's a smaller subset of people who've already opted in to reading how to install Ruby on Rails.
Exactly. And the good news too is 60% of our customers come in through word of mouth. So when you have a company that's doing extremely well, people talk about it, and that's has a lot to do with our growth today.
Now, when do you start moving up the stack? Because you have so many of these individuals. obviously the individuals are going to go to companies and say, I love working, I'm comfortable.
Or they're already working at the companies.
Or they're working at companies.
Right.
So how do you start converting the individuals to larger installations? And are you guys only for like Dude and their like little private website? Or if Inside needs to have 100 servers, might we consider DigitalOcean at some point when we want to shut down our own data center and just move to somebody else's?
So, I mean, you have to look at, so we've done a ton of surveying, around our customer base, and then additionally, like outside our customer base. We found that there's a lot of features that we're missing that people need. And we built out private networking already. IPv6 is coming out. We're also building out monitoring and load balancing, which is going to be huge. Monitoring is going to allow for auto scale. Load balancing is going to allow for redundancy, and
you kind of need to have those things when you're getting to a production website.
Exactly. So the good news is that people, if you're a system administrator, you can configure a load balancing environment yourself. You don't need it to be pre-ready. And then eventually a storage system. So we're looking at object storage as sort of like the last piece. That's going to allow for, because Amazon's doing really well with S3. They have this whole storage component to their infrastructure environment that they offer. So we need to we need to compete on that level and offer something better, cheaper, and faster.
Yeah. So how come nobody's really got like a cloud? And I asked this to my friends because I'm on the board of Dyn, which is the DNS company, and obviously they deal with a lot of routing. I'm interested in your opinion of why we don't see more folks set up redundant clouds. So in other words, I've got Inside at our data center, but I mirrored it over at DigitalOcean. I've got it like asleep, or I mirrored it over at Rackspace, and it's sort of dormant. But in case of emergency, I fire it up. It's synced within the last hour or two, and I can just point my DNS over there and have multi-data center, but across multi-cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't they have redundant clouds? Well, why don't people set that up? Is it too much work?
It's too much work. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much configuration and management, and too much to maintain it. I would say
too much to maintain.
Too much to maintain.
Do you think that's eventually where it's going to get though? Because because you do have Amazon's going to go down whatever it is twice a year for 5 hours, right?
Right.
Every year we have like X number of hours of downtime. You guys will have downtime. You can't be immune from that. Rackspace will have downtime, or denial of service attacks. If you could just replicate your entire setup across 3 different providers and dynamically route based on price. Like, why doesn't that exist in the market? I don't understand.
It's really expensive.
It's just too expensive.
I think it's like it's also very difficult to configure and to set up.
That's the problem.
It's just super complex.
Hard.
Yeah.
See, that would be the killer product.
It would be the killer product.
I want somebody to build is just like the ability to take my DigitalOcean setup and just back it up to Amazon or Rackspace. In case of emergency,
right?
You guys get
cross-cloud redundancy.
Cross-cloud redundancy.
There you go. There's your next startup.
No, I mean, I'm not. Honestly, it's really interesting. Some people are super motivated by infrastructure and building infrastructure. It was part of the reason why I joined the board of Dyn, was because I really wanted to learn about the infrastructure of the internet and be up to date on it.
Yeah, of course.
It seems that we keep having people say we're going to have an issue with IP addresses. We're going to run out of IPs. We're going to run out of bandwidth. Netflix. It never happens. The internet seems to just keep scaling wonderfully. Should people be worried that the internet's going to break in some fundamental way, or that it's not going to scale? Because every time I hear this, and they say it every 3 or 4 years, like, oh my God, we're starting to hit a breaking point, it just passes.
Well, I mean, I look at IPv4, for example. IPv4 ran out.
Right.
It's no more IP4 addresses.
Right.
So now you're on IPv6.
Right.
So,
explain what that means to people who don't understand.
Okay. So, layman's terms, it's, an IP address is like a phone number.
Right.
So there's only a certain amount of phone numbers in the world that you can deliver. Same thing for IP addresses.
Right.
There's only so many amount of IP4 addresses out there that you can
So when people see
assign.
192.168.0. Whatever, that's the IP address.
That's the IP address.
And that's IP4.
Right. And that's what hosts your website.
Right.
So,
and each server on the internet has one of those, and a lot of individual computers have them.
Exactly. And then also you have brokers that buy up large blocks.
And then they sell them for $10 each.
And then they sell them for $10, exactly $8, $10 each. And that gets very costly after a while.
So when you guys have to put up 40 servers, you got to go buy $40.
Yeah, we have to buy some more IP addresses.
$400 of IP addresses.
You got it.
Every other day.
You got it.
So you're spending at least 15, 20 grand a month just buying IP addresses.
Oh yeah.
Or more.
We have to cut sometimes a $250,000 check.
Just for IP addresses.
Just for IP addresses.
My God.
Yeah.
But IP6 will solve all this because it's going to be another two sets of numbers. Is that right?
I believe it's 2 sets of numbers, right?
Yeah.
And then it's and then so right now it's like developers want to get up to speed on how to properly configure and set up an IPv6 environment. So that's why they're on the IPv6.
But everybody's browser will work perfectly. Consumers are not going to have a problem with it. It's just going to be the servers and setting them all up to be there. And that's coming soon.
It's coming soon. So I mean there's other challenges besides the IP address outages in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at like infrastructure in general, like there are countries that don't even have infrastructure built out, and there are countries that can't even connect to the internet. And like I think
still to this day.
Yeah, I think Facebook has like this huge movement for building out infrastructure around the world.
Yeah, they want to do the blimps.
Right.
Yeah. Like there's Project Loon is the Google version.
Okay.
So bandwidth is still an issue.
Right.
But that seems to be like an opportunity more than an issue even. And the bandwidth between servers and server farms and peering and all that kind of stuff, that just seems to be explosively growing and not an issue.
Right. That's correct.
Not an issue. Storage is a big issue.
Storage is a big issue because you need hard drives and
And everybody's storing so much stuff.
Right. Because big data is the fastest growing industry in the world.
Is it really?
Yeah, I read that somewhere online where big data is like, if it's not the fastest, it's like
sense.
top 3. You look at like Instagram, you look at how much content's being uploaded on the web.
Yeah, what do you do with all that?
Right, what do you do with all that? You have to store it somewhere.
Store it, and then storing it offline that's what I've been trying to figure out is how do you store the stuff offline? Like how do you get all of these like storing stuff to tape. And they're like, yeah, you could do that. It would save you 50%, but then you're better off. Like, I guess they have like a Glacier storage at Amazon or something where it stores it to tape, but it just seems like waste of time. Like, I want to archive all the shows. What do I do with these terabytes and terabytes?
Right.
I mean,
Dropbox too. Like you look at Dropbox, you know, and it seems like it's a local storage system, but it's really in the cloud. Yeah. And you're dragging, dropping all day.
That's why I invested in SpaceMaker. I was like, this could be like peer-to-peer storage could really help this situation if it actually hit scale.
There's a company actually in TechStars coming out. I mean, I could put you in touch with them.
Oh, really? And they're going to do something similar?
Peer-to-peer storage, yeah. Like instant syncing, where it's like under 4 seconds or something, where you can access the file no matter what size it is.
That's fascinating. Yeah. You have people. I think BitTorrent is doing something similar now, where Bram over there is trying to. That's another person. Let's get Bram from BitTorrent on the program. Producer Gino. He's a legend. He'd be awesome. But Bram he did a thing where it's like use BitTorrent to sync all your drives together, and you create your own virtual Dropbox between your home computer, work computer, your laptop, and your computer in your media room or whatever it is, as it were. All right, listen, Mitch. We're full circle here. It's so awesome to see you back on the program.
It's amazing.
It is just amazing.
It's amazing.
I love it. I mean, it's like very heartwarming for me because you do the show and people tell you all the time, like, I'll be in an airport, somebody like, oh God, it changed my life. But it's actually like,
it's true.
The show, it's actually not bunk. It actually did have obviously I told you were a brilliant guy. I could tell from when I talked to you, I knew you'd be successful, but it actually may have pushed you in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm a bench warmer on the Knicks. It's amazing.
No, not anymore. This is like, now you're like, once Andreessen Horowitz invests in your company, honestly, like now it's your game to F
lose.
up. You guys have their support. They're going to fight with you to the end. I mean, Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz are like serious heavyweights. Like they're not going to let you fail. Like they're going to force you to be successful. They're going to like give you whatever you need to be successful. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the folks over at Andreessen Horowitz. Like it's a good get. All right, listen. Also, I think I'm doing an infrastructure conference. There's not a lot of infrastructure conferences, right? Like DevOps, developer stuff.
Well, they're starting to become more and more popular. Actually, my chief evangelist is out in, I think, Denver right now at Mountain West.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
So I think he's at.
I want to do a scale event.
You should.
Like just launch about scale, just about scaling. Just that. Because everybody's talking about growth hacking and trying to scale stuff.
Right.
And then like just being on the board of Dyn or watching you guys grow. I'm just watching and I'm just like, my God, who are all these people using these products that just your product, Dyn, all these products are so high growth that it feels like there's a whole new class of infrastructure companies that are just crushing it and growing very fast.
Yeah.
It's wild. All right, listen.
It's a great market.
Mitch Wainer, everybody can follow him. Mitch Wainer on Twitter. Follow DigitalOcean. Visit DigitalOcean.com. Just fire up a server. If you're a tremendous developer, go to Mitch@DigitalOcean.com or email him and get a job. And thanks to our sponsors, and thanks producer Gina and Brandis, and thank you. Follow at TWI Startups. Follow at Jason. Follow at Launch. Subscribe to the Launch Ticker. Go try Inside. Plug. And most importantly, get yourself on DigitalOcean and try those fast SSD servers. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.